Chapter 19, The Choice. I lay tangled with Dane under his cloak, both of us nude beside the dying fire. The embers cast red light across his skin. My head rose and fell with his breathing. His heartbeat slowed from desperate to steady beneath my ear. I felt boneless, complete, wrapped in warmth that had nothing to do with the fire and everything to do with the man whose arms surrounded me.
Need to check the wards,
Dane murmured. His voice was rough, content in ways I had never heard before. The movement of him extracting himself from our embrace pulled me fully awake. I watched through half-lidded eyes as he crossed the room, utterly unself-conscious in his nakedness. Desire stirred again despite my exhaustion. He moved with warrior's grace, all controlled power and lean muscle. Then something else caught my attention. His body was completely flesh. Not even a hint of silver sheen. No crystalline quality to his skin. No translucent patches where glass had begun claiming him. I sat up, pulled the cloak around myself, checked my own arms in the firelight. No black lightning marks. No ink traces spreading like veins beneath my skin. My channels felt whole, balanced, completely clear for the first time since my outburst. We were healed. Actually healed, not just temporarily balanced. Whatever happened between us went beyond simple transfer into something the manuals never mentioned. Dane returned from checking the perimeter. His expression satisfied that we were secure. He knelt beside me to gather his scattered clothing. I could not stop staring at him. At skin that was uniformly warm flesh instead of cold crystal. At joints that moved fluidly without grinding. At eyes that were gold instead of frozen glass. He caught me looking. Something vulnerable crossed his face. Like he was afraid to hope this might last. I reached for him instead of speaking. Pulled him back down beside the fire. He came willingly. Wrapped me against his chest with his cloak cocooning us both. His heart beat strong and steady beneath my ear. Alive. Vital. No longer counting down to crystallization.
I've been dying by inches for 6 years,
He said to the fire-lit darkness. His voice raw with honesty that sounded like breaking.
choosing not to transfer, choosing to let the ash accumulate, choosing to end it slowly rather than survive and risk becoming a monster.
I felt his throat work against my temple.
But with you,
He paused. When he continued, there was something new in his tone. Something that sounded like the opposite of resignation.
with you I think I want to live. I think I want to see what comes next.
I closed my eyes, felt tears I did not try to hide, held him tighter, understanding the magnitude of what he was admitting. He had been courting death since he became Cleaver, and I had somehow, impossibly, given him a reason to want to survive. Even after the release, after our ink and ash byproduct levels were completely gone, we still hungered for each other. Not the desperate need of accumulation, but something else entirely. Hunger to cast convergence together. Hunger to cast ritual convergence. Hunger to see what our magic could become when it was not fighting survival, but choosing synthesis. But reality intruded even here. Wrapped in his arms beside a dying fire, I knew people would notice Dane was no longer crystallizing. Seraphina would notice. Then I thought of returning to the academy. Of facing what came next. Fear tightened my chest. Seraphina is going to be furious, I said quietly. She already hates me, but this, I did not finish. Did not need to. We both knew that choosing each other openly, that whatever this was between us, it would make Seraphina's campaign against me escalate from systematic cruelty to open warfare. Dane's arms tightened around me, protective instinct warring with helplessness. He could not shield me from academy politics, could not prevent the social destruction Seraphina excelled at orchestrating. "Why is she so angry?" I asked. "I know she wants you, but it is more than that. It is like she needs you in ways that go beyond partnership or status." Dane was quiet for a long moment. His fingers traced absent patterns on my shoulder. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of understanding born from shared experience.
It's what it's like being Legacy,
He said finally.
It's bad before you even awaken. All of us, all Legacy children, we know we'll probably die when they send us into the wastes to awaken our magic.
His voice went distant, remembering.
The girl Legacies have a 3 in 4 chance of surviving it. Way better than the general population, but the boys only have 1 in 4. Still better odds than mundanes, but we grow up knowing death is the likely outcome of our first real test.
I pressed closer against him, listening.
We all handle that burden differently, and it's often destructive. Seraphina's been told since childhood that she'll secure a powerful Cleaver partnership, that it's her destiny and duty, that it will prove her worth and justify her survival when so many others died.
He paused, his breath stirring my hair.
Losing that, losing me. It's not just about status or wanting, it's about her entire identity, everything she was raised to believe about why she deserves to be alive.
I absorbed this. Felt something shift in how I saw Seraphina. Still cruel, still dangerous, but also broken by the same system that had been slowly killing Dane. That nearly killed me during the outburst. That is a terrible way to grow up, I whispered. I felt Dane nod against my hair.
It is.
He agreed. No argument, just acceptance of truth. Then he gestured at the abandoned inn around us. At the corruption we fought through to reach this village. At the world beyond the walls where monsters spawned from chaos and reality itself could fail.
But there's little choice. If we all hid from the corruption, we would all die. Mundanes and mages alike. We must fight, and fighting means many die, even young. Legacy children are weapons forged from childhood because the Empire needs weapons that can survive the forging process long enough to be useful.
The bleakness in his voice cut me. But he was not wrong. The world we lived in did not allow for gentle childhoods or the luxury of choice. Survival required sacrifice. Required sending children into the wastes to awaken magic that would probably kill them. Required building identity around duty and death because hope was too dangerous when the odds were so poor.
The difference.
Dane continued, and now his voice carried something new. Something almost tentative.
The difference is that I've been treating my survival like borrowed time, like I'm already dead, and just performing the motions until crystallization claims me.
He pulled back enough to meet my eyes. What I saw in his gaze made my breath catch.
But you...
He paused, swallowed.
You make me think that maybe surviving is not just borrowed time. Maybe it is actual life. Maybe there is something worth staying alive for beyond duty and martyrdom.
I could not speak, could barely breathe. The vulnerability in his face was almost unbearable. He was admitting that he wanted to live. After 6 years of choosing death by inches, after building his entire identity around crystallization and martyrdom, and ending it before becoming a monster, I was his reason to choose life instead. The magnitude of that crashed over me like a wave. I pulled him close again, buried my face against his neck, felt his arms wrap around me like I was precious, like I was proof that surviving might be worth the risk after all. We dressed slowly as dawn light began filtering through the inn's broken windows, helping each other with buckles and laces, touching more than strictly necessary. Neither quite ready to leave this moment behind. The fire had burned to red embers, cast the last of its warmth across our shoulders as we prepared to face what came next. We would have to report back to the academy soon, explain the empty village and the corrupted dyad, file official reports that would reveal how long we were alone together and what that implied. Seraphina would know. Master Theron would know. The entire academy would know. And the political fallout would be immediate and brutal. But for now, we sat wrapped in each other beside the dying fire, both knowing we had crossed a threshold that changed everything. I thought of my journal entry waiting to be written. Not the clinical transfer documentation the academy required, but the truth beneath it. I had fallen in love with someone who had been choosing death. And somehow I had become his reason to choose life instead. Dane held me like I was precious, like I was proof that surviving might be worth the risk after all. In the growing dawn light, we began to imagine a future neither believed possible. The world outside was still broken, still dying, still demanding sacrifice from everyone who fought to save it. But maybe, just maybe, we could face it together and find something worth living for in the spaces between battles. We gathered our weapons, checked our gear, prepared to return. Not just to the academy, but to a life that was no longer about counting down to crystallization, but about discovering what synthesis might become when order and chaos chose each other freely. I stood, buckled my belt, watched Dane extinguish the last embers of the fire. His movements were fluid, confident. No grinding of joints, no crystalline stiffness. He was alive in ways he had not been 6 years. And I had done that. Given him that. The weight of it settled over me like a cloak. Responsibility and privilege intertwined.
Ready?
He asked. His voice had returned to its usual military precision. Clipped. Efficient. But there was something new underneath. Something that sounded like hope. I do not think I will ever be ready for what comes next, I said, hedging even now, even after everything. He almost smiled.
That is the most honest thing you have said in days.
We stepped out into the dawn. The village was still empty, still silent. The corruption we had fought through yesterday left scars on the buildings and streets, but the air smelled clean, fresh, like something had been purged. Dane checked his weapons one final time, adjusted his pack, looked at me with eyes that were gold instead of glass.
Whatever happens at the academy,
He said.
whatever Seraphina does, whatever politics emerge from this,
He paused, held my gaze.
it was worth it.
I nodded, could not speak past the tightness in my throat, because he was right. Whatever came next, however brutal the fallout, this had been worth it. We had found each other in the ruins of a corrupted village, had healed each other through magic the manuals never mentioned, had given each other reasons to want to survive, and now we would face what came next together. The walk back to the academy would take 2 days. 2 days before we had to explain everything. 2 days before Serafina learned what we had done. 2 days before the social warfare began in earnest. But we had 2 days together first. 2 days to practice casting convergence, to explore what our magic could become, to imagine futures that did not end in crystallization or dissolution. I looked at Dane, at the man who had been choosing death for 6 years, who had given up hope of survival, who had built his entire identity around martyrdom and borrowed time. He looked back at me, and for the first time since I met him, I saw something in his face that looked like wanting to live. We turned toward the road, toward the academy, toward whatever came next. Together, the sun rose behind us, cast our shadows long across the empty village streets. 2 figures walking side by side, not cleaver and binder performing duty, but partners choosing each other freely. I thought again of my journal entry, of the words I would write when we stopped for the night. We healed each other, actually healed, not just balanced. His crystallization is gone. My ink accumulation is clear. Whatever happened between us went beyond transfer into something unprecedented. And now we have to face what comes next. Serafina will know. Everyone will know. The political fallout will be brutal. But he said it was worth it. And he is right. For the first time since my outburst, I can imagine a future that does not end in dissolution. A future where surviving is not just borrowed time, but actual life. A future with him. The road stretched ahead, long and uncertain, full of dangers we could not predict, but we would walk it together. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough.